Well, let's move on to the Seattle Seahawks. This is a team that surprised a lot in the draft by drafting Charbonnet, another running back after Kenneth Walker had a great season for them last year. And they added another wide receiver, which was a surprise to me because as a Giants fan, I wanted the Giants to trade up to 20 with the Seahawks to go get a wide receiver. I'm happy with who we got. Side note. That being said, Seattle's got 3 legitimate wide receivers. Obviously, we already know that Lockett and DK Metcalf are legitimate wide receivers. Both those guys put up wide receiver 1 numbers, season-long wide receiver 1 numbers. But you can add Jackson Smith and Jigba now there, a guy that's going to be a big body, good receiver. He's going to find a mismatch because you can't cover all 3. You have a Geno Smith who was QB5 last year, who's going to come back with more weapons. There is going to be potentially a shared backfield with Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet, but I like that. To me, I like that opportunity because I think Kenneth Walker wasn't drafted to be this bell cow back like he had to be last year. Kenneth Walker was built to be the co-owner of that backfield with Rashad Penny and was going to give him change of pace, was going to get balls out the backfield catching. And now you get a running back in Charbonnet who's more of a pure between the tackles runner, kind of like a Nick Chubb, who is going to get some good early down work, change of pace with him. And then it's going to let Kenneth Walker stay fresh and stay healthy and break off those home runs like he did in a couple of those games last year. I like all the positions here. The tight ends is the only murky area for me. It's tough to see who's going to get the ball there. They got targeted off in the game, and they had a lot of touchdowns last year, but you didn't know if it was going to be Fant, if it was going to be Disley, who it was going to be at that time. But he, again, Geno likes his tight ends and he likes his receivers, and he's got a plethora this year again. The sky's the limit in a division that's very winnable for them.
Yeah, and you kind of hit all my points. Is the tight end is the only position here that I don't like. And just because they spread the ball amongst 3 tight ends. But the Seahawks and the Niners are the 2 good teams in this division, and Arizona and LA are both rebuilding.
Yeah.
So you're going to assume that these offenses are going to feast on those rebuilding teams. And with the 3 wide receiver set, DK is probably going to have a better year than he did last year. Lockett is going to be Lockett, and then the addition of JSN, who, again, you like you said, are you going to match him against a nickel corner? Okay, yeah. Great.
3 wide receiver sets is going to be dangerous.
JSN could be a wide receiver 1, and he can build into that, but he doesn't have to be. And now he's going up against nickel corners.
Yeah. Yep.
Or they put him in on the outside and then put Lockett into the slot. That's fine too. But then Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet, yeah, they're probably going to split touches. I think it's going to favor Kenneth Walker a little bit more. But I think coming off of an injury last year, I think they're going to work him in slowly, and they're not going to overuse him. But I think the plan last year was to have Penny and Kenneth Walker kind of split touches, maybe 60-40. And I think it's going to be the same split this year with Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker. But it doesn't mean I don't want a piece of them. Doesn't mean that I definitely
want either one of them. I definitely want
either one.
In our league, Kenneth Walker's keepable, so I'm targeting Charbonnet if he's out there. I'm going to try and snipe him around earlier than people want to take him because I just want a piece of it.
This is what I'll say about Charbonnet is I think he's going to be, other than Bijan, I think he might be the next rookie running back off the board. So I think a lot of people are going to go maybe in the 7th or 8th round to try to go and grab him, which – that's ideally not where you kind of want a guy that's only going to get 40% of the backfield touches, but maybe even less than that. But what do I want him? Absolutely. Because if Kenneth Walker comes back hobbled or re-aggravates something, it's going to be Charbonnet's backfield. And we can see a Kenneth Walker-like season from Charbonnet this year. And I think this offense is just very good. I think the veteran Geno Smith is obviously a lot better than the younger version of Geno Smith, but he threw for over 4,000 yards last season, and now you add more weapons on the offense to him, where they already spread the ball around and push the ball downfield. I think this can be a really, really good offense, and in a very non-competitive division outside the Niners.
Yeah, they've had 2 great seasons of NFL drafts for the Seahawks. I think their offensive line and defense grew much better last year, and then this year you just got yourself some offensive weapons to get you over the hump. Let's go to another team.
Again, it's a good defense.
Yeah.
It's a good defense. So that means positive game script. And that's even better for Charbonnet because in the games that they're up 3 scores, Kenneth Walker's not going to be in there getting touches. Charbonnet probably will.
Correct.
So,
Pete Carroll doesn't play fantasy.
He doesn't play fantasy. It's like Bill Belichick. They don't care about your fantasy scores.
Well, let's talk about another team that's got a plethora of wide receiver weapons, and that's the LA Chargers. They're another team that surprised some people a little bit by drafting a third rookie wide receiver to an already good veteran duo that they had in Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. And that's with Quentin Johnston, who, again, you look at his size, that surprised me a little bit. I thought they would, if they were going to get a receiver, go somebody like Addison or Flowers, I believe, because I think they went right after the Seattle. Is that correct? And they took Quentin Johnston. So I thought they would go somebody small, playing the slot outside of the two guys.
I think they went right before. I think Quentin Johnston went before JSN. No,
JSN was 20. He was first. Okay. I digress. These receivers of the Chargers are great. Quentin Johnston's a big playmaker. He's one of those guys that catch a ball over the middle, take it to the house like he did at TCU. He's good down the sideline. That's where he got a lot of his work at TCU as well. It takes a little pressure off Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. He's a better receiver than Palmer and Carter were for them in that third spot, and I think it makes sense why they would do it. I mean, when you have Keenan Allen and Mike Williams only on the field for 6 games together last season, you need somebody else with talent. Gerald Everett, tight end, still there with Darnell Parham. Obviously, Gerald Everett, he had some drops last year, but he is the better receiving tight end of the group, and they try to do a lot of tight end screens with him, short plays with him. He's a good yards after the catch receiving tight end. And then you have Austin Eckler and Justin Herbert, 2 guys that, to me, in my opinion, with the new offensive coordinator there, Justin Herbert, I say it here on the Standard Fantasy Podcast, you'll hear it first, he will be the NFL MVP this year. With the passing volume bound to go up, there's no way that he's not going to be as successful with the weapons around him. With Eckler coming back and coming out the backfield, he was hobbled, yes, due to injury earlier on, but he was hobbled season long by his offensive coordinator.
Yeah, again, this is an offense that's just absolutely stacked. You have a top 10 quarterback, a top 10 receiver, and a top 3 running back. And anytime you have any of one of those, and then you add Mike Williams and then Quentin Johnston into the mix, and then Gerald Everett. And
Gerald Everett was top 15, I think, as well.
Yeah,
top 15 tight
Donald
end.
Parham was injured last year, so I think Everett got a lot of benefit from that. But they have 2 legitimate tight ends that you can target really late in the draft. But I think there's other weapons there too. They have so many, and they're big. Keenan Allen's going to be Keenan Allen, right? He's going to eat up
best
targets.
Route runner in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean Cooper Kupp. Let's back up.
Cooper Kupp faces a lot of zone defense.
Top two.
He faces a lot of good zone defense. Keenan Allen gets a lot more man coverage, and his footwork is stellar. Go type in on YouTube Keenan Allen footwork and get back to me. Okay.
I'll do that. But you got deep threats with Mike Williams, and I think this is an offense that, again, they're going to score points. They're going to be in a division where they have to. They're going to have to win games. They're going to in the 2 games against Kansas City. They're going to have to try to outscore them. And then you have Vegas in that division, who just gives up a ton of points and who has given up a ton of points, especially downfield. I think this is a great offense that, again, I'm targeting any one of these guys at their value where I can.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's a later guy just to get Quentin Johnston in the 7th or 8th round. I think all 3 of these wide receivers might go in the top 9 rounds.
And I wouldn't be surprised if they do, because I'm telling you right now, with Kellen Moore going to be calling the plays there, I think the passing volume is just going to go up. I think, they have a great running game in Eckler, but I don't see there being a stout backup to Eckler. I mean, you have Isaiah Spiller and some other guys back there, but it's always been Eckler's show. And again, I will say something about Eckler in a second. I think they're going to find ways to get the ball in their future, and that's Justin Herbert hands. But here's the thing, and here's a note about Eckler if you're deciding who you're going to take if you're the number 2 pick or on in fantasy, is if you're the number 2 pick and you're deciding between Eckler, Justin Jefferson, somebody else, let's just note how well running backs do on contract years or years they're about to be free agents. They ball out. And this is
last year, Josh Jacobs last year.
Yep. And this is the year for Eckler to ball out again. If you think he couldn't do more, he can. He will. He is going to be a free agent after the season. He got his $2 million opportunity and incentives for the season from the Chargers, and it's looking like, according to Rappaport and the guys, that he's going to go to free agency after the season. So look for him to put his blood, sweat, and tears on the field to prove himself for a big contract. I don't think we need to say much more about the Chargers because we liked them last year. They fell flat on their face, and again, I think it was all play calling at the end of the day, and their head coach. I think he realized that he stepped on his own foot too many times.
They dealt with a lot of injuries too last year. I still love the talent there, whether or not they had injuries last year. I think these guys are guys you want to target and you want to have on your team because Keenan Allen's going to get volume. He can win you a week. Mike Williams again. He can score big points and he has the big playability. Quentin Johnson, I think, can come in, and again, he's not going to be facing number 1 receivers or number 1 corners, so he's going to get a lot of opportunity. And there's nothing more we have to say about Eckler or Herbert. People, everyone unanimously loves those guys from a fantasy standpoint. So.
Our last team is another team that everybody loves, and we don't even have to go into too much detail with them, but we'll talk about some of the lesser names on this team that we do really like, and that's the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, we're talking about a team that took the AFC by storm, and Joe Burrow, Cool Joe, Smooth Joe, this guy is a legit quarterback, another guy that I'm trying to target if I can. If you're not getting those top 3 guys, top 4 guys, and a rushing quarterback, Burrow and Herbert are two guys that are going to lead your team and give you steady Eddie points. Obviously, you've got Jamar Chase, you've got T. Higgins, and you've got Tyler Boyd, who I talked about this morning, I believe it was, on this guy is consistently throwing up 800-yard seasons and 5 touchdowns a season on average. Obviously that could be higher, a little bit lower, but this guy is a target hog for Joe Burrow in situations, and we just know Chase and T. Higgins haven't been able to stay healthy in their seasons, so he comes in as a solid wide receiver 2 role. You plug him right in away. This is one of those guys that is not a bench warmer. He's a guy that is ready to go, and he's a flex play on bye weeks, and he is a guy who can find your starting lineup. Running back's a little bit interesting. We don't know what's going on with Mixon. Obviously, if Mixon's there, he's a solid running back. If he's not going to be there, we're going to rely on a rookie because P. Ryan has departed. So let me know your thoughts on that.
All right. So just right off the bat, this is a team that has a wide receiver 1A and a wide receiver 1B.
Yep.
T. Higgins and Chase are both wide receiver 1s. Now, we've talked about T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. I did a short on him where I think that I've seen him go as high as number 3 off the board overall. And that if someone's going to go and do that, let them do that. I'm not going to be that person that does it because I'll go and get T. Higgins in the 2nd round.
Yep.
And I love that pick in the 2nd or the 3rd round. But Tyler Boyd is another guy that goes overlooked that you can probably get later in the draft. But even if Joe Mixon isn't there, I love the running back situation there. I don't care if Mixon's there or not. Like, this is a running back room that I want. Chase Brown, I think, is going to – if Mixon is not there, Chase Brown is – I'll take a shot here. He might be my offensive rookie of the year if Mixon is not there.
Yeah, I agree. If he's not there, I think he's got the biggest path to success for that.
Yeah, I think he's going to probably put up the best numbers out of a rookie running back if Mixon is not there. If Mixon's there, obviously his value goes down. But I love him as a great handcuff because he produced in college. He was eating up carries. He had over 300 carries last year. So he can sustain the workload. And he was averaging over 100 yards. I think it was over 118 yards a game and he averaged a touchdown a game. This guy was the offense at Illinois. And I think he's coming into a situation where, again, he's not going to be asked to do a lot. Even if Mixon's not there, you're so stacked at receiver, and the teams are playing against the defense of the pass that you're not going to face stacked boxes.
Yeah.
You're going to have such a good opportunity to come in where there's so many weapons around you where they're going to forget about you, and he has a chance to kind of break out and have good gains every time he runs the ball. And this offensive line is getting better and better every year. Burrow is getting better and better every year. This is a team that's going to be threatening for the AFC. So I like everyone around this team. And again, this is a team that I want a piece of, and I don't care where. The only thing is I'm not getting Chase at the third pick. Like late first round, sure, but I don't even think Chase is in my top 3 wide receivers right now.
No, and I agree with you across the board. I mean, teams are not playing against the running backs. Teams are playing against Joe Burrow when they play this team. So I'd even take a flyer on Brown, even if Mixon does come, because I think he is going to probably be the future of this team at the long term. And I think I agree with you. He's going to get his, and if again Mixon's not there, he's going to. If you like the clip, like and subscribe, and always click the little bell for notifications. Tune in next time.